Hello and welcome back to my craft room. At last it is time to make a start on the colour inspiration journal. So this is one of my big new projects for 2024, and this is one that I hope will go on for quite a time, and I know several people have already said they're going to join me, which makes it even more exciting. It will keep me motivated to keep going as well. So that's what, it's always good to share this stuff, and hopefully we can share what we're doing in the Facebook group and in the Discord community. So I'm just checking I am actually recording. Yes, I am. So I've got a few little piles of things here. Let me take you to my desk and I'll show you what I've been collecting up and what we're going to be doing for anybody that doesn't have the foggiest clue what I'm talking about. So the idea was prompted by this book. It's one of the lovely books that Jen sent me. It's by Julia Caprara, she was one of 3 people that Jen specifically mentioned that she was lucky enough to have worked with in the past. They were all the J, so it was Jen that told me about them, and it's Julia Caprara, Jan Beanie and Jean Littlejohn. So these I'll be coming back to later. I have a lot of books here to refer to for this project. There's another little pile here of amazing books. A lot of them came from Jen, some of them came from Tori as well, some I already had. So yes, this is where it started, but I am going to be putting my own twist on it and bringing in other books and things as well. I'm not going to go all through the book now because I have done that in a previous video. I'm going to link to the playlist. I've started a playlist. There's only one video in it at the moment. There'll be 2 including this one for the colour inspiration journal. So if you want a look through this whole book. I know some people went and bought the book after they saw the video. They were so, and some people had it already. So this is essentially, it's all about getting colour inspiration. This is exploring colour, but basically she's taking inspiration from the world around her, finding new ways of kind of interpreting that and what have you. She's talking here about different ways to start exploring colour, making a colour collection, using memorabilia, using photos. I love the idea of word themes, photographs, drawings. Everybody's going to have different ways of I'm looking at the screen so if I can talk to you, and I can't because let's put my face back for a second. Everybody's going to have different ways of doing this, different favourite ways. Some people will prefer to work just in stitching and fabric. Some people will want to collage. Some people will want to draw and paint and things. I'll be doing a bit of everything. And I think whatever your particular favourite arts and crafts are, colour is for me anyway, is at the centre of it, isn't it? It's always the thing that I see first grabs me. Colour, pattern and texture, but colour is the first thing for me. So that's what I'm really focusing on here. Definitely texture and pattern are going to come into it big time as well. And I'm not sure exactly where this will take me or take us, but let's see where we go with it. So one of the things I liked about this book is that she talks about it in terms of a colour school, and she gradually takes you through a bit of colour theory and stuff like that. This is all about the tools and things that will be useful. I talked about that in the previous video as well. And then she gives assignments. And so I'm going to kind of base this on the assignments, but I, as I say, will be very much putting my own spin on it. So the first thing I'm going to do, just as a nice easy warm-up for us, is this first assignment, which is to make a small sketchbook. Start with a small sketchbook, collection of coloured crayons, scraps of cloth, thread, papers and glue, and your own unique eye. I'm going to have a stapler as well. I think that'd be useful for me. And your inspirational starting point for this project will be one colour family. And I just thought that's a really nice warm-up just to get us all started. And what she suggests is just starting with a small sketchbook. So I've already got, there it is. Buried it under the stitching books. I've already got this book, and I think a few other people have gone and got something like this kind of ready for this project. So it's a mixed media, reasonably heavyweight, not hugely heavyweight, 200 GSM sketchbook. So mixed media paper will take, if I end up throwing a lot of water at it, it's not going to matter. I want it to be heavy enough to clip things to, sturdy enough for that. So something like this. I like the coil bound thing because it will lie flat when you're working in it, and these are made to pull out easily. This one came with this silicone sheet, which I guess is for putting underneath so you don't make marks on your paper underneath. Not sure I'll worry about it too much for this project, but I'm sure that'll be useful. And I just dug out one of my colour wheels because I think that'll be handy to have. I'll keep all the stuff for this project in a basket. I've got we had a hamper for Christmas, so I'm going to keep that for my project basket for this, I think. Okay, Okay, so that's what I'm going to be using for most of this, but what Juliet is suggesting here is to just have a small sketchbook. And I'm going to make up a little sketchbook especially for this first assignment. Just have the fun of just putting together like a little junk journal really, that I can collect, that I can do my first little colour collection in. And what she's saying is to use one colour family. So if I give you a quick peek at what I started collecting up, can you guess what colour family I'm going for? I have got all sorts here from, I'll put them to one side for a minute because they're slightly different. Excuse me, there's green beads there. I got some more green beads too the other day in a parcel from Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. So they're going in there. These I've had for so long I can't even remember. All kinds of pieces of fabric. Really, I wanted to find tiny snippets. I didn't have many tiny snippets of green fabric, so I'm going to take little snips off of some of these. I've got some beautiful, all different textures and things as well. Silky ones, cotton ones, velvet, shiny ones like that, lace, felt. That's some fabric that I dyed, and I can't even remember how I did it now. Maybe was it what I was doing with Macy last summer? I can't remember. Bits from a bazaar pack. That's bazaar pack, so these are reclaimed clothes, so that's like the cuff off a shirt. For this first little assignment, I only need tiny snips of these. That's a bag I thought might be useful to collect things up in. I found these in my little rummage drawer. Bits out of a magazine, wasn't that belongs with the fabrics, a little shiny piece. Some postcards. See how much already just from, and this was, I didn't go further than my craft room, and I found all of these different things in different shades of green. Look how many shades of green. I mean, it is massive. So this came from Zoe, this lovely distress ink stenciled background, and she did say at the time, you can cut up, do what you like with it. Not sure I'll be able to bring myself to cut it up, but I put it there partly because of the beautiful shades of green, and also because it will remind me that I could use stenciling in my journal. This is Christmas paper. Tom wrapped my Christmas presents in. There's some other different textures of paper here. Look at all these. I mean, there's that old green. That next to that doesn't really look green, but when you hold it next to the right colour thing, it suddenly looks very green. So I'm calling it green. Lovely, different. Goodness knows where all these have come from now. Some of these I've had for so long. That doesn't look green now, but it definitely did earlier on. As I say, when I hold it next to the right thing. Oh, every single, I just if it was green, I picked it up. So I thought this is a nice, easy warm-up start to this project. And then I've put a magazine in that's about gardening, so I thought there's bound to be a lot of green in there that I can cut up and use. So that's all of those, and yeah, you can see what a massive range of the colour green I've got there. Now I've put these in because again I've had these for years. I got them as part of a prize pack when I was still scrapbooking at least 10 years ago, and they're just plain kind of heavy calico type of stuff, and I thought, well, I can use these, and these are tag shapes. I can use these as little I can colour them with paints and Inktense pencils and stuff like that, or stitch bits to them or whatever, and they'll be nice to stitch onto the edge of pages or staple onto the edge of pages. I just thought they'd be a really fun little addition. The smaller ones could hang off the spine of my book as well. But you know, if you wanted to do something and you haven't, I just happen to have these, you could easily, this is just one layer of a kind of a canvas. These ones are like 2 layers of a calico that's been stitched together, so you could easily do something like this and then punch a hole if you wanted to do something like that. I've got these 2 very different shades of green crochet thread. I've got some tapestry wool. These came in with the parcel from Leslie as well. Some different stranded cotton. I've shown you the beads already. I've got 3 different kinds of felting wool from that maker's parcel that I had. So there's a curly one and 2 different shades of green. This one's got fun little bits in. These really interesting fibres. I think they were in a parcel someone sent me, but I can't remember who now. Also, there's other colours in there as well, but to me it's this, it fits in with the green theme. And then I just went through my stash of trims and pulled out any that are green, including my own little hand tatted ones. And there's a couple of green felted balls there as well, more magazine paper. So that's all my fodder at the moment. Of course, also I'm going to be using paint and pens and pastels as one thing that Julia suggests. Let's just have a check what she's coloured crayons and oil pastels, designer's gouache paint. Yeah, I'll definitely be whipping out the gouache paint because I do love that. I didn't get too much in the way of suitable sweetie papers or anything like that over Christmas this year. I kept these off the front of Christmas cards before I recycled the backs. Not that they'll go with the green theme, but just because I love these as a, I don't know, it's quite plain, but I love that white, red and blue colour combo for Christmas. And there was just something about this picture that made me think, it made me think of stitching, and maybe a stitched collage or part felted collage or something later on further down the line. So I'm going to keep that with my clobber for this project. This one is like mixed media, and some of it looks like it's pattern paper or fabric or something, along with obviously the eye's been painted and there's been some stenciling and stuff over here. But yes, I thought that might be inspiring for later as well. And this one because I love the colours, and just made me think of collage and again mixed media collage work. So I'm going to keep them with all this stuff, but not for this stage. I won't be using them for this stage. That's a long way down the line. Oh, I left these out to show you because one of the things that I'll be using is these watercolour pens. Now I got this smaller pack of these to try them out and then bought a larger pack as a prize. So we're gonna, on this Saturday coming, Saturday 6th of January, we're having a special arty farty party, and there will be 9 prizes to give away. And one of them is the bigger pack, the 20 pack of these. And what I love about these is that they're dual tipped, so they come with this very fine, so you get a very fine line. You've also got a brush tip. And what I love about them, you can see from what I'm doing there, is that it is a real brush. So you can get really nice line work with it. They're actually, you know, sometimes they say brush pens and they're just like a kind of a brush shape, but they're still a felt. These are actual separate bristles. It's a real brush pen. Love it. Love these. Loved them so much I got the big set as a prize, but I wish I had the big set as well now because there's more shades of green in it for a start. But one of the other reasons that I love these is that if you then take a paintbrush and some water, you can activate them with water. I was a bit slow there. I would need to do it quicker than that because it started to sink in now, but you can actually use them like a watercolour as well, which is really handy. And it's nice that they come with that water brush as well. They won't stay in this plastic tray for long now. In fact, I will probably take them out after I've made this and put them in maybe that's what I use that bag for. So I'll be using these, my gouache and pastels, probably oil pastels I think for this, and probably Inktense pencils will come into it. Whatever, I've got everything on my desk here, so whatever I feel I need at the time I will use, but that's the kind of thing you want to get hold of. Just to give you an idea of the kind of, I mean, these are beautiful journals, and I don't want the focus of this one to be create a beautiful looking journal. It's a working journal. It's a journal full of inspiration, but this is how lovely they can look. So this lady, is it Tilly Rose? Yeah, Tilly Rose. Her journals are just beautiful. And what she tends to do is, like with this one, she's used a shop bought or handmade journal, and then she's created a stitched wrap for it, and she does that in different ways. Look at all those buttons sewn down the side there. So this is the kind of thing I might end up decorating my journal with later on. She does all kinds of ways of doing it, of covering them, and they're all beautiful. I loved this, and I love that combination of that lemony zingy yellow with the purples. Beautiful. That's so simple, just strips of fabric. So she tells you how to make a wrap out of calico and then just cover it with fabrics in various ways, which is probably what I will end up doing with my journal, but further down the line. This kind of thing is very inspiring. But as I say, I don't want the focus of this project, for me, you can do whatever you want to do, but for me, I don't want to focus on it having to be beautiful to start with. I want it to be a working journal. But I think it will just by default end up being just beautiful. I loved this idea. So a bit further down, quite a lot further down the line, what I want to get to is interpreting some of the inspiration that we've gathered from around us in either stitch or whatever your favourite medium is, or a mixture of all of those things. I mix all my arts and crafts together and maybe do something like this, or a drop cloth. Jen suggested a drop cloth and I had to look up what that was, but that looked like an amazing idea. But it would be a kind of an abstract drop cloth, not following a pattern at all. There are so many ways. I like when you combine painting and collage and stitch all together like that. So many ideas, look at all the different textures there. So I am going to be picking and choosing from a whole shelf full of books basically. The first thing I'm going to do for this little warm-up session, should we call it a session, is I have collected together a few just random bits and pieces that I'm going to make my own little mini sketchbook. Now if you have got yourself a sketchbook like I've got this one to work in and you just want to go straight into that, do that. I just really quite liked the idea of making myself a little mini journal just for doing my green colour family collection in. I've got various things. I only stuck that bit of tape over there because it had my address on it. That was a thank you card from my postie. I don't think I'm going to do it in signatures. I think I'm just going to stack things and then I will have them fold in and fold out like that, because I think it'd be nice to have some long pages to fold out. So envelopes are nice because you can put things inside them as well. So if I collected up little pieces of something or other that I thought were interesting, they could go in that envelope. I put in a piece of this because I thought I could do some stitching on it, and it would be a nice way to keep some of the thread samples that I've got. I think this also came in that parcel from Leslie the other day. That could be a page as well. I might need to use some gesso or something, or stick some pattern paper to it. Depends on how I end up using it. Got some pieces again. This is all. A lot of this came from that parcel from Leslie. This came from the parcel from Leslie, I think, as well. It's just nice to have that a mixture, you know, different textures and things. Now I think this was in a parcel from Kerry, and I picked it out because I just thought I just love the different texture of it. One thing I had saved quite a lot of that I was going to use was that brown kind of packaging paper that you get in Amazon type parcels. I'd saved a little stack of it, ended up wrapping some of my Christmas presents in it, meant to retrieve it again, but my tidy husband recycled it before I could get to it. So I haven't got any of that, but I don't really. I've got plenty here. This is only meant to be a mini book. This is quite thin, this paper, because I want this just to be quite small. Okay, so I'm going to have a fiddle now, and I'm going to put these into the right order, and then I'll come back to you. I've finished stacking up my papers now, or nearly finished. I've just sort of mix and matched them, and I will probably stack them up like that so that they're all the same level on the bottom, so that I will be able to put them on a shelf. I'm a bit annoyed about that bag sticking over the top too much, so I might end up having to cut that down. I don't mind them all being different levels, but that one was significantly different from the others, so yeah, I might need to cut that one down. With this one I'm going to make it roughly square, because I've kind of ended up with a little square. I'm not doing any measuring, nothing like that. I don't mind a torn edge, but the metal ruler kind of makes it a reasonably controlled torn edge. I've got some of this stuff I didn't show you, which is you get it in packaging. You get a similar thing on pillowcase linings and stuff like that. You get this stuff. You'll recognise this stuff, and I thought that would be really good to stitch little snippets of fabric onto. So I'm gonna. I've already put a couple of pieces there. Again, not being too careful because this is going to get. I want it to be higgledy-piggledy. I like higgledy-piggledy. A nice little piece of this, really nice. I think you call it even weave, this stuff. I'm not sure. Don't have much technical knowledge. This one I've just folded, not in half, because then I wouldn't be able to open it because the binding is going to go here. So I'm just allowing about, a couple of centimetres or so. I have got my paper folder here to make a nice crease. Keep forgetting to use it. Might leave that on the back. I will keep all of these little snippets because I can do little paint swatches and snippets of things and stitches and all sorts on it, so I'll keep all them, and this little envelope. I think with this one what I'm going to do is fold it up to be roughly the size of the other pieces. Cut this one in half, just staple it, and that will this binding will hold it there, and this will leave me just a little pocket so things like this can be tucked in there. This whole thing has taken me about 20 minutes or so. It's just, yeah, it shouldn't be too long. I might end up putting page tabs on here, so these little pieces will get used for that as well, so don't throw anything away. Oh, now I can't. Was this? I think this came from Hannah. It's got little bear things on. But yeah, I've got all sorts of little clips and things. Put these as well. That I will use to clip things in, and I've got big paper clips. Now I have got a bind it all machine that will do me a coil binding to put all of this together. It probably makes sense while we're working on this not to bind it yet, just keep them clipped together like that for now, and we'll do the binding later, because we might change our minds about what order we want them to go in and things. So I think for now I'll just clip them together. And actually, if you've got a nice big chunky one of those really big, those aren't really man enough actually, one of those great big chunky proper old-fashioned bulldog clips, one of those would hold it. When I'm all done and I've decided what order I want the pages in, I will bind this together. But I thought I could show you as well, also at least suggest a couple of different ways that you could do it, because not everybody's got a binding machine, I'm aware. You could either just punch, say, 3 holes in each piece and then put them together with book rings, and like up on my other shelf, but you know the sort of thing. They're like rings you get in different sizes that you can just clip together, open and shut as you wish. So I mean, you could do that now, and then you'd still be able to change the order of the pages later on. So that might be an idea if you wanted to keep it all together. You could just like just wrap a sari ribbon or something around the whole lot, at least for now, while we're working on it. But another way you can do it, if you want to get the effect of a coil binding, what I do is I reuse the coil binding off of old sketchbooks like this. This one, you can see I've torn a lot of pieces out of it. So this, when this is all done, I don't throw it away. I keep the board to use to make more journals with, and I carefully take the coil binding apart. So if you just work your way along, this one isn't going to be big enough anyway, probably. You need to this one is a better size, but when you think that was only £1 in the works for this whole book. If you open the book up, you need the bit where the coils join, and that's usually just inside the back page. That's where they'll put that. Don't open it too far, just far enough that we're going to be able to wiggle the pages out. So I usually do this when I've just kind of nearly used up a sketchbook, and not a sketchbook that I'm keeping. You know, it's usually more tends to be notebooks where I end up with it kind of half empty, like that big red one that I just showed you. And now I can just take the pages out. But you need to punch the holes in all these materials first. So that's where I use this as a template. Okay, so now what I'm doing is lining up the edge of what I'm using as a template with the edge of the page for my little mini sketchbook. As I say, it's all a bit, you know, it's all a bit free and easy, so I ain't going to worry too much. So I just end up with the holes drawn like that. Then I'll get my crocodile. But you could use a paper punch. You could even, in a pinch, you could just use a pokey tool or something just to make the hole. Crocodile does make it easier, but so where I've drawn each of those holes, I'm just going to clip through them with the crocodile. It's not going to be perfect, but it's not going to matter for this. Finished doing most of these. It turns out that the crocodile really was not very keen on doing these, so I'm just going to find a different way of slotting those into the book as I go along. I decided I might as well use this piece I've taken off the back of that book as my front cover, keep this one as my back, just to neaten it all up a bit. It's not crucial, but a little piece off of this to make it roughly the same height as the rest. Okay, so that's the makings of my little mini sketchbook. These I will either cut little holes in, make little buttonholes, or just staple them to some of the other pages, or whatever. It really is, or I'll just slot them in, and I'll end up with something tied around here to keep the whole thing together. It's a messy working journal. That's how I want it to be. So I've got my coil now. Now this at the moment looks like it's going to be way too big, but I'm allowing for that extra thickness of these going in and any other bits I collect up. I'm going to need a little pair of pliers, not pliers, wire cutters. Okay, so what I need to do now is count the number of holes. Now I could have just probably held this whole book together with just half a dozen coils, but I've punched all the holes now, so I might as well put coil through the whole lot. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. And one thing to remember when you're doing a binding like this is that because you want the as it was when I took it off of that old pad, you want the kind of joining bit to be at the back. So what you do is, before you thread them all onto the coil, you bring the back, take the back page and bring it round to the front like that, and then you start threading them on. Oh, I didn't cut my coils, did I? 11, 12, 13. So cut it there. And then I'm just going to take one page at a time and just thread it on like this. So that's the front cover now. The back cover's gone on, then the front cover. I'm cutting some bits down as I go because they're just sort of slightly interfering with the next coil, and it doesn't really matter what size they are, so if need be I'll trim them down just to make sure everything sits nicely. Now, and again this is the bit that's really easy with the binding machine, but all I've got to do is gently squeeze these together, and just do it really gently. Perhaps push them all in a little bit as you go along, and then come back and squeeze them all a little bit more. Just try and be careful to retain that nice circular shape as best you can. And then you can see that some of them aren't quite closed enough, so go back over. There we go. I've got my coil bit at the back there. Messy, but it's meant to be. And then I can slot these other bits and pieces in as I go along. Now I've got my messy little sketchbook ready. It's time to start filling it. I've got this as well. This in the back. This is actually a pocket too, so I can put things in there. Let's put these in there for now. Go. So that is it. That is my little pile of different papers and things all clipped together. Clip yours together however you like. Stitch it. Just use a couple of bulldog clips. Staple it. You know, whatever. Just. And it doesn't even need to be as much as this. This is probably more than I need, to be honest. But this is a good starting point. And then eventually I might make one of those little pretty journal wraps or something. Or I might just cover it with stuff as I go along. We'll just see where that goes. So now is the fun part. We get to add some colour. So I'm picking green. Because I love green, because I think green goes with lots of other colours. I don't think there's a colour that green doesn't go with in my book. Because there are so many shades of it, and because even at this time of the year it's easy enough to find. In fact, I didn't even have to go outside the house. I didn't have to go outside my craft room for this, but my plan for next week will take me outside of the house. Having said that, if you can't get outside the house, don't worry, you can do this whole project. Basically you can do this without ever leaving the house. What I'm going to do is start collecting up. I'm just going to take little snippets and start sticking them into this book. The idea with this, we're keeping it really simple. It's just a warm-up exercise, this one. We're just going to collect up all the different shades of green that we can find. I'm going with green. You can go with whatever colour appeals to you. One of the suggestions in Julia's book was to go with, if you're in like an urban setting, was to go with the colour of the warm kind of orangey peachy to apricot-y kind of colours of brickwork, and we've got some lovely brickwork colours around here, so that's the thing I might explore another time. Just, yeah, whatever appeals to be honest, pick a colour that you love and then just search around, see what you can find, pick up everything you can find in that colour, and let's pile it all into this book. In the next session I will be just getting a bit more thoughtful about it and a bit more constructive with it, but at this stage I just want to have fun and start filling this book up with the colour green. I might sort the greens as I go into shades of green. I might jot down some things about texture if the fancy takes me. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can see that these are yellowy greens and this is more kind of bluey jadey green. So I might collect those together within the book. This one's going to go more with that, isn't it? You know, well, yeah, and then I've got all these, but I might want to put all the trims together in one place, and perhaps I'll stitch them onto one of those pieces of fabric that are in here. So whether you're using scraps of paper, or if you want to start getting your paints or pens or pencils out, if you feel like it, go and draw something, you know, or print something off the internet, but pick one colour, focus on one colour and take that as your inspiration. If you're into drawing and painting and the fancy takes you to draw something inspired by your chosen colour, do that. Do whatever, you know, go wherever it takes you. But all I'm going to do at this point is collect shades of green. So I'm going to show you a little bit of this process, a few clips of this process, but I'm probably going to be here for hours doing this, to be fair. Look at that, just a little snippet out of a magazine. Oh, I might need my stapler to put some bits in. I might stitch some bits in. And let's have some stronger glue as well. And some bits I might have to tie on or clip on or whatever. But yeah, all of the stuff that's in this basket is going into this book somehow. But not a whole, I'll just have to use a little snippet of that, for example. So here we go. I've glued in that bit just with a glue stick, that bit of a magazine which I love, and just like gessoed it to soften the edges. And now I'm just going to add some of these colours of, these are all different kinds of water reactive crayons. So that's a gelato, which is really, really old. I think it'll still work. That might go better with those colours. Part of this is, although it's just like get all the green you can find, or all whatever your chosen colour is, into the book, it's also, it just starts to get you thinking about the differences between the different shades of the colour that you've chosen and how they make you feel, and whether they're warm or cool, or which other colours you like with them. And I love that little touch of magenta with the green there, but I love it with yellow too, and with white. And so like I can see that this colour isn't going to do, but that colour goes beautifully with that. And maybe let's try these. So with these, they go on kind of almost like a lipstick, and then you just activate them with water. Oh, that's come out much brighter than I thought it was going to. And I could stencil here, or just do some fun kind of watercolours, just free flowing kind of watercolour would be nice. Whoops. So clearly this is going to be a really long process, and I can't film all of it, and really it's going to be different depending on what colour you've chosen and what bits and pieces you've got, and whether you're going more with paint and mixed media or more with fabric and stitching. I'll tell you what I'm planning to do, and then I'm going to sit and do some of it this evening and then some of it tomorrow, and I'll come back tomorrow afternoon and show you how it's looking. But basically I'm going to take all of these papers and stick them to these pages. I'm going to flip through this magazine. Oh, look at that lovely green tree image. I definitely want that in there. Oh, look at that. That definitely needs to go in. I love trees. Some beautiful tree pictures in there. And they're so lovely for collage. So some of those might even get added. I might put one of the trees on the front. I will take some of the little snippets of fabric and stitch them onto this base calico. I'm going to take all the different threads that I've got that I showed you and just do perhaps some just straight stitches and things just onto there, just to have a sample of them. I've put some of the sequins in this little envelope which kind of tucks in there, but I might stitch some around as well, or stick them or whatever. What else did I think of? Oh, and I will just I've got all my trims and my beads. I will stitch some of them onto perhaps this stuff. I've already got these watercolour crayons out. I'll get my Inktense out and my gouache and those brush pens that I showed you, and one of these will end up being a colour swatch card, or I might use these strips that I've kept in the back here as my colour swatches. So basically this is going to be a celebration of green, because that's the colour that I've chosen. I'm going to fill this book with all of the green that I've got there. If the fancy takes me and I end up thinking I'm just going to draw something in green, or I'm going to do some rubbings, or I'm going to do some stencilings or whatever, I will. But essentially I'm just going to fill this book with green. So yeah, I'm going to take my scissors and my Pritt stick and my bits of paper and my needles and threads downstairs and spend the evening cutting and sticking and stitching and fill this book with colour. And it might take me off at, I might find that I want to do a little bit of drawing or something, or make some notes, but I'm not going to focus on that at the moment. This is a really easy just a straightforward collect as much green as you can find, or whatever your chosen colour is. So if you're joining in with me, I hope you'll enjoy getting into this as a little bit of a warm-up. Let me know in Discord or the Facebook group or in the comments if you're playing along and what colour family you've chosen. And don't feel like it's, you can't put anything there that's a different colour, just do what brings you joy really at this point. But basically what I'm doing is celebrating my one chosen colour and exploring all the different shades of it and trying out some of my different supplies that I've got as well. So I'm going to do that this evening, and I will be back. I'm going to quickly edit this video. I say quickly, I've been going on for ages. I'm going to edit this video, put this up, and then I will come back. It'll be tomorrow for you now and show you how we got on. So thanks for joining me today. Have fun with it, and I will see you again really soon.